Hello everyone, welcome to SAP Technomaniac. In this video, we will talk about association and navigation. So we already know how to create the entity types. The association is the relationship between the two entity types. Suppose we have created one sales order entity type and another entity type we have created order detail. So in the sales order, we will be having header data. In order detail, we will be having the line item data. We know there is some relationship between those two entity types based on the sales order number. So now we want to establish that relationship. How you will establish? Using the association. So this is the one of the example of the Northwind OData service, where is the one of the association name is the order detail orders. Basically, what this association is doing, it is the establishing the relationship between the order and order detail. So establishing the relation, if you want to read this OData metadata document, you can see that one of the association name called the order details and order, and there is one role in the association. They define the roles for each respective entity type. So order entity type, there is the role orders, and the order detail entity type, there is the role order detail. And there is something called multiplicity. It will define for another entity type one record, how many record can be available in this current entity type. For example, this is the multiplicity. One is telling for in the order detail, one record, how many record can be available in this particular orders entity type. So there will be always one. So that is the reason they define the multiplicity one. The same way here they define the star. In another entity, here is who is the another entity? Order. In the one record in orders, how many record can be available in order detail? There can be the one record, two record, three record, or n number of record. That is the reason they put multiplicity as a star. This is the same like the cardinality in SAP. It's just defining the in one entity type, for one entity type, how many records can exist based on one record in another entity type. So that is the relation they are establishing. Apart from that, you can see there is the roles. Again, this each role respective to one entity type. What is the principal role and what is the dependent role, and what is the based on what property we are establishing the relationship. That is, you can see in the property reference. So in this case, we are based on the order ID, sales order number. Order ID means in the SAP we can understand sales order number. Based on the sales order number, we are putting the relationship between that. Once we define this relationship, how it help us when we access the OData service, that's very important. So there is something called the navigation property. So we can see whenever we define the entity type, there is the one of the key entity type, key property will be there. Apart from key property, there is some other properties also there, and there is one special property called navigation property. This navigation property, what it will do, it will use the association. Based on that association, we can traverse from this particular entity type to the another entity type. So in this way, so you can see this is the order entity type, and we have navigation property called order details. The name itself saying it will traverse us to the order details from the order. So based on what it will traverse, so you can see the relationship here. What relationship it is using? That relationship is nothing, the association name which you have created when you establish the relationship between the order and order detail. So from role means from where you are going, from orders, and to role, where you are going, to order detail we are going. So from role orders to order detail you are going, and using this association, and the navigation property name is the order detail. Till now we saw the metadata in the PPT. Let me open the same data in the Northwind OData service, and we'll see the Northwind OData service over here. Inside this Northwind OData service, you can see we will open the V2 version first. And we will see the metadata for this particular V2 version. To open the metadata, you have to click $metadata. It will open the metadata. Not only this, one of the more important sites is that you can search EXO data here, and you can, if you search for Exadata, the site name is the pragmatica.com. You can visualize your metadata in better way in the graphical format like that. I will show you that also. So this is the metadata here opening in the normal metadata, and here it will open in the graphical format. So we saw these are the service. Still metadata is opening. It's a Chrome is little bit slow because there is a lot of devices are connected. Let's close out this one, and let's open same metadata URL. Control C and here Control V. So the same data URL I have opened in this pragmatica.com Exadata. You will search for Exadata, then you will this Exadata will open in your this particular website, first website, or if you search for Exadata in the Google, the first website will be the pragmatica.com, and you can pass here your metadata URL, and you will see the metadata is represented in the this format, graphical format. If you see this metadata over here, this metadata is like that, like we usually see the service. There is different entity types there. Is just now I showed you one of the entity type called order. This entity type, if you see here, order entity type, there are different properties are there, and the navigation property we talked about the order detail. And same thing also we can see what is the relation, what is the all are the properties in orders, and what is the relationship between the order and order detail. That is the one-to-end relationship, and that relationship we can see in the graphical format. And what all are the entities connected to orders? You can see entity types connected to order, customer entity type, shipper entity type, category entity type connected to the order entity type through the navigation path. So this navigation properties you can see here: customer, employee, order detail, and shipper in the our metadata service file. In same thing we can see this data, and we can here filter out also. I just want to see one entity type, order, and its related thing. You just have to select that one and you have to filter it out. It will show you that particular your base entity type and what is the relationship, what all are the entities connected to this particular entity type through the associations that you can see over here. Okay, and now I want to see what is the use of the navigation. So whenever we access this order entity type, this order entity type belong to orders entity set. If you see the entity set name is orders, as I told you last video also, we have to access the data using the entity set, and this entity set orders type of the order entity type. And if you want to access the data from this orders entity set, you have to click your service name / and orders. You have to click enter. It will give you entire data orders available in the system. I want to see in the JSON format, $$ format equal to JSON. You have to put, and you have to click into enter. It will display the data in the JSON format. As of now it is clumsy. Once you install this JSON formatter and XML tree, it will display XML in better format, and JSON formatter extension, it will display the JSON file in this better format. You can see the better format, and I can see this order detail. Now I want to navigate from this order detail, sales order data to the sales order line item data or order detail data. So how I can do that? As of now I can see all the order detail. 49 order is there, 29, 50 order is there, 102, 50, 1050, 51. These all are the order details there. Along with this order, we can see that there are the navigation path they have given. This navigation path generated from the navigation properties. So you can see the order detail navigation also there. You can open this particular in the new tab, this order detail navigation. What it will take you to? It will take you to the order detail entity type detail. For example, for this order, how many order line item is there, how many products are there in this particular order, that you can see in the order detail format. Again, I will display in the order detail in the dollar format, dollar dollar format equal to JSON. Format equal to JSON format I want to display. You can see the same data in the JSON format. So I clicked on 10251 order number detail. So there is multiple product IDs there. One is the 22 product ID, for same order 57 product ID, and same order 65 product ID, and same there are 3 product ID for this order. 10251. We can traverse using this navigation. We can traverse from one entity set detail to the another entity set detail. So that's how it will help. To understand the association and navigation, how it will be useful real time in the application, I just took one screenshot of the SAP Fiori Master detail application for the sales order. In this application, you can see this is the Fiori application. In this, one side you can see a lot of sales orders are there. All the sales order details got displayed in one side, and as soon as you click on that particular sales order, you can see the sales order line item detail over here. For this particular sales order, what all are the line item is there. If you select this sales order, then this sales order line item detail will be displayed. So here, if you think it out, if you want to create this kind of application, how many entity type you have to create? First, you have to create the sales order header entity type, where you will be having this detail, and another entity type you have to create the sales order line items details, which entity contain the sales order line item detail. That another entity type we have to create, and we have to establish the relationship between the header and line item, so that for that particular header we can find all the line items. So this kind of applications we can develop. So in this video, what we will do, we're not going to develop obviously the Fiori application, but we try to create one OData service which will give us header data, all the header data all together, and when you select one particular header, one particular order, then it should give us all the line item data. This kind of OData service I want to give the front end guys, so they can utilize this OData service to create this kind of applications. To understand the association and navigation, first what we will do, we will create a project called G Sales Order. So we'll click on create button, and we will create our G Sales Order. I will give version 2, and because I have created already that project for the practice purpose. So sales order, project name sales order data. So through this project, what we will do, we will read sales order data, and we will try to update the sales order data. We will try to delete the sales order data. So these all things remain same. You have to give the package G SAP_Technomaniac, and like we created the employee project, same way we are creating the sales order. But the difference is that in employee project we were having only one table, but here we have multiple tables, and we have the relationship between the tables as well. So let me click on OK button. So what we will do, we will create the entity types. So I will right click on the data model, import from DDIC structure. So if you don't know, we have in sales order, we have basically main two tables. One is the VBAK table, another is a VBAP table. VBAK table contain the sales order header data, and VBAP table contain the sales order line item data. So we will be needing both the tables. So I want some of the fields from VBAK and some of the fields from VBAP. Let me create with reference to DDIC structure. Always create with reference to DDIC structure, because it will give easy way to conversion from OData values to the SAP internal value, or SAP internal value to OData value, because it will automatically, based on the data element, conversion will happen. So whenever we are displaying the data in outer world, the 0 will be removed, then it will be sent to the front end, for example sales order, and when we display in the inner world, again we have to put the 0, and then we have to process the data. So these kind of things automatically handled when we create the entity types with reference to structure. If you don't have a structure, create one structure, whatever the data you need, different table, put all the data in that structure, and then you can do. As of now, I didn't created the structure, so we have VBAK table. So ABAP structure name will be VBAK, and I will be creating sales order header. So always give those entity type name. In the camel case, it's a standard way of SAP. So let me select all the fields. You can see it got removed. Let me put again sales order header, and let me click on OK button. As of now, it got added every field, Let me remove some of the fields from this one. Let me click on properties. What you can do, you can select all, and what all are the fields needed, deselect them. Remaining we will delete. VBLN needed, I will select those fields which is really required when we create the sales order. Those fields only I will get. So for example, we will be obviously needing the sales order number. We will be needing the sales org, sales, this sales org, division, and VTWEZ and SPART. These are the three main fields when we will be needing. Apart from this, we will have some other fields. Let me see. We will be needing Kunnar, customer. We will be needing the customer number, obviously. So let me see somewhere customer and BSTNDK, that is the description field, one of the, based on that PO number that might be needing. So these are the mainly field we need when we create the sales order, or we will be needing its mandatory field. Remaining field, what I will do, I will delete the rows. So only the remaining fields. Okay, let me select all and deselect these all the fields. Not all the fields got deleted. So I need these many fields, and remaining I can delete. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fields as of now I got from the VBAK table. So like that you can adjust the properties, and you can give the appropriate name. That's very important. Instead of VBLN, so outer world they will not understand VBLN. So you can give sales order, again camel case, and second field is a VKRZ. Again you can see sales org, and all. You have to change for each and every field in understandable format. As of now I am not changing every field, so you have to change customer number and the sales org, sales type, division. These all the things you have to change as per your so front end guy, whoever going to use this particular entity types or particular application, they should understand. So they will see this data. Okay, and let me create another entity type. Again, that entity type will be the item data. So same way, you have to click on data type, create, import from DDIC structure, but this time we will import from VBAP instead of VBAK. So VBAP, and this time sales order item, and you can click on OK button. Enter. And what you can do, you have to go again into the properties. Same way, what all are the fields needed, those only you can choose. Other fields you can delete. So I will select all. I will deselect which is needed. VBLN and Posner key fields are there. Sales order and sales order. Material, obviously we will be needing material number. Apart from that, we will be needing the quantity field, and quantity field will be KWMNG field is there somewhere. KWEMNG. You can select amount field, but it's not mandatory field. So KWMENG field is the fields we will be needing whenever we need. We have to create the material. Remaining we can delete. You have to come down and click on minus button. It will delete remaining all the fields. Only the selected field which we need really, those only I got as of now. But is for your requirement and what you want to display in your front end in your application, that you have to select. So it's taking time. Again, it's not deleted every field. Let me select all and deselect VBLN, Posner, Metner, and KWMNG, and remaining let me delete. There is too many fields are there. I don't want to get each time all the fields. So that is the reason I have deleted all the fields. So it's taking little bit time. Server, I think server is slow. It deleted again. Let me select everything again and deselect VBLN, Posner, Metner, KWMNG. Let me, I think this time it should delete everything else. Let me click on minus button. Yeah, now only I can see I can change again the name because in that also I have changed the key field name, so that will be better. Sales underscore order, like that I can change, and sales order, line item, and material, and KWMG, each and everything you have to change. So front end guys, they will able to understand, they will see these names only, so they should understand what you have created. So I have created two entity type. One is the sales order header, another is the sales order item. Let me generate the runtime artifacts for that, and let me see how the metadata look like once we generate the runtime artifacts. And let me register this one also. So you have to click on the generate runtime artifacts. I don't want to waste this all the times because we already did this all the things during the employee creations. So sales order data and 02 I can write, and you have to just create new request and you can save your data. So MPC, DPC, DPC extension class, those classes will be generated. I have explained this all the classes in detail in my last video. And you have to give package CSAP underscore technomaniac, so everything will be captured one package. So you can see, and I can see refer back all the code, whatever I do, I usually create all the things in one package. And again it is asking for TR, we can give the appropriate TR, and all the classes got generated. Now what we have to do, since it's an embedded system, we have to do our service registration. We have to activate our service registration, already done successfully. Now we have to activate our service. If you are working in embedded deployment, you just right click over here and you can register here. If you are working in the central hub deployment system, you have to go to your hub system and you have to run this T code /o /iwfnd /ment underscore service. Here you have to come to this particular T code in your central hub deployment system, because in if you're not working in central hub deployment system, you might not see this particular service maintenance local file here. Why? Because if you're working in lesser version 7.3 and below, 7.4 and below, we have all the components, so might be able to see, but sometimes we will not see if you're working in embedded deployment central hub deployment system. So we have to go to the central hub system, we have to run this T code, and we have to click on add service if you want to register their service. I'm doing a little bit different from what I have done in my last video, so you can understand how we do in the central hub deployment. If you have embedded deployment, no need to worry, you can directly right click over here and register. This option will be available because you are registering in the same system. If you are working in the central hub deployment system, you have gateway hub system is a separate system. In that case, you have to come to this T code and you have to click on add service, and you mandatorily you have to give your service name. So you can see your service name from your runtime artifacts which got generated. You have to click here, Control C, Control Y, Control C, and again you can go to your T code and you have to give your service name, and you have to give here, you have to select the alias name of your backend system. In this case, we have the same system, so we are selecting the same system as the alias name. But in your case, might be you are working in gateway hub system, or you are developing for service, you have development done in different system. That alias name you have to select, and how to create this alias name and how to maintain this alias name through the SPRO that I already have shown you in last videos. If you're not aware, you can go and watch out that video. And again, let me click on enter. Get service, click on get service. Yeah, you can see the service now, and now you have to click here and you have to register your service. This is the another way to register your service if you are working in different system. If you would have done this step from here itself, when you right click here and register, this pop-up will come directly. No need to worry. You have to give this alias name. So here we have done if you are want to do in different system, like that also you can do. So again, all the details I have explained in previous videos. Some of them missed, I will explain in upcoming videos. And let me click on okay, and save in the TR, because I don't want to mix up everything. So there are a lot of things, standard, node, none, and when we have to use, I will create the separate video, theory video on that, and I will explain. Okay, just capture all the things in one TR and service created successfully. Now what we have to do, you have to copy this service, come back to the same T code and filter your service. You have to click on filter, you have to give your service name, you have to click on enter. You can see your service here. From here, your service got activated successfully. Now SICF node got created. You can, if you want to see from here also, you can see directly your SICF node, or you can go to the SICF T code, and there also you can see the SICF node created. And what all are the different system this particular service for, that you can see here. And now what we will do, we will test our service, we will see our metadata. For testing, either you can go to the gateway hub system and call this particular T code iwfnd / gw underscore client client. So you can see there are some other service which got came here. To find out this name, what you have to do, you can come here directly and call through the gateway client. You click on that gateway client. This will open directly that service only. Otherwise, you have to go to SICF node and you have to find out what is the exact path for this one, for your path. You have to copy that exact path. I have shown you how to see the SICF part last video. You have to click here, and that again $/ metadata you have to see the metadata, and you have to just click on execute button. Okay, I put wrong URL. You have to remove this one, $/. So you can see the metadata which got created. I want to see this metadata in my front end system, or we can say in the browser. So through browser also we can see this particular data. To see this one, what we have to do, we have to call something here. Instead of this service name, we have to give our service name. Oh, sorry, Control Z. We have to give our service name. What is our service name? This is our service name. Control C. This is same SICF node, and we know how this particular path got created. This is our server detail, then port number, this SICF node, then our OData service and metadata. Like that it got created. That also I have explained in my previous video. Obviously, nobody can access directly. They need user ID and credential. Otherwise, everybody can access my system. So I have to give my user ID and credential, and then only they can access the data. Now they can see the metadata. In previous video, we worked with one entity, employee data. In this video, we are working with multiple entity. One is the sales order header, and second is the sales order item. Let me change this name to sales order header, and second is the sales order item. Okay, they are already changed. And entity type got created, entity set got created or not. I think so. We have to create the entity set. If it is not get created, it's not created. So let me right click on that particular entity set button and create the entity sets for the header and line item both. Okay, so what we will do, we will give the entity set name. One second. I have to do first F4 entity type. For which entity type you want to create first I want to create for the header. Control C, simply put S at the end. It will create the sales order headers. So it's usually we have to do product, sales order. It's a standard way to do. So in this way we can create the entity set. In same way, I will create the entity set for the item also. So I have to select entity type name is a sales order item. Let me copy this one, Control C, and I will put simply S at the end, and I will create sales order items. Let me regenerate the runtime artifacts. So I can see this entity sets also in my metadata. it got successfully generated. Let me go to the browser and refresh my data. Now you can see the entity set also in entity container name. Through the entity sets only we can access the data. Entity type just like the structure as I told you in my previous videos. So we have two entity created. Now I want to put the relationship between these two entities. I know for one sales order there can be the n number of sales order line item can be there. So when we discussed the Northwind OData service, I talked about the associations. So associations will establish the relationship between the two entity types, entity sets. So basically, so what we have to do for that, we have to create the association. To create the association, you have to click on, there is association node is already available. You have to right click on the association and you have to click on create button. As soon as you click on create button, you have to give some association name. So name is very important. So name should reflect what you are exactly doing. So in this case, we are going to header to item, or we can give like this header to item, or you can see sales order SO to item. Also you can write header to item. I will write. So this is the way you can create. So it is reflecting that you are going from sales order, from sales header to sales item. Like that you can do. As for requirement, you can change. You can write like the other name, like say order to item. Also you can write. Order means sales order to item. Like that also you have to write. So what is your principal entity, from where you want to go? In my case, I want to go from the header to line item. So I have to choose my principal entity, in this case sales order header. And what is the cardinality? Cardinality means for one sales order line item, how many sales order header can be there? So there will be always one. So for one sales order line item, how many header can be possible? There will be always one sales order header. And I have to choose entity type for the dependent entity. So again, what is the entity? Dependent entity is the sales order item, and for one sales order, how many line item can be there? At least one line item should be there, or n number of line item can be there. So that is the reason we put the cardinality as a 1 to n. So like that we have to choose the cardinality. Then again the navigation property, it's very important. So whatever the navigation property you will gonna create, that will come and sit here in under the navigation property section here. I showed you in Northwind service as well. What we have to do in this case, what we have to do, we have to give the some valid navigation property reflect what you are doing. So in property name means I'm going to the item, so I have to write item. But I will be getting the multiple items, so you can write multiple items. So these naming conventions are again very important. You always have to write in camel case, and it should reflect what actually you are doing. So this will be the again one the navigation property name. It will be come along all the properties, and this will show, it will take us to the item. So that is the reason items. So that is the reason I wrote items. So we always want from the sales order to the sales order item, because as I showed you in application. So in the application there is one section sales order header, and when we click on the particular sales order, then we want to go to the item. From item we don't want to come back to the header. So in that case we no need to create this navigation property at the item side. We just have to create the navigation property at header, because we want to navigate from header to item, not from item to header. Again, it depends upon your requirement. Suppose I would have created some customer entity, or we can say customer for that particular sales order. What is the customer detail? I would have put customer detail here. So for one customer detail, I will try to create that entity also. But in that case, I can navigate from the sales order to the customer as well, and from custom for particular customer, how many sales orders are there, that also I can do. In that case, I have to put this also, and I have to create navigation property in sales order item as well, entity type as well. So in this case, I will be creating only the navigation property in the sales order header, not in the sales order item. I will show you that once it got created. So let me click on next button. And again, you have to put the relationship principal key. What is per my entity type, what is the criteria when it will match, then you should get the data. So principal key is the sales order. Obviously line item also I should have sales order, so I have to select the sales order and let me click on next button. So you can see when we create the association, one association set also we create. An association set name reflect that you can create item to header to item items also, and it is giving by default SAP name, so I'm not changing as of now. So but either you can give in plural form, that is as per SAP, that is good. And you can put like S also, header to items, so it is more understandable format. That and sales order header, sales order item, dependent entity, you have to click on finish. Once you created the association, you have to regenerate your runtime artifacts. You can see the association got generated, and as soon as you create the association here, one along with your normal properties in sales order header, you can see one navigation property as well. That navigation property is the item which we have created when we created the association. So this item, you can see the navigation property. Since we have to traverse from header to item, that is the reason it created here. We no need to traverse from item to header, so we didn't create that navigation property here. If we have to come back from item to header as well, that time we have to create this navigation property as well. In both way communication we want, then when we create the association, that kind of things we have to give properly. Again, it's a design time things. So based on your requirement, you have to develop your entity and entity types and your association and the relationship between those associations. It's entirely the data model you are creating here through this particular SCGW. Okay, so we have created the item. Let me generate the runtime artifacts again, and I will see the metadata again. I clicked on the generate runtime artifact buttons. So what I will do, I generated, let me refresh the data. So what change is done? So you can see one navigation property got added in the sales order header entity type. So in the navigation property name is the items, and the relationship is the header to item association. If you want to see the header to item association, you have to copy and you have to search for this, and you can just come to the down little bit. First, as I told you, all the entity type will be there, then the associations will be there when we discuss Northwind service. So again, here the association, what is telling, what is the relationship between your header and item. So in the header entity type and item entity type, so what is the relationship? So it is telling that so your principal entity is the header, and where you want to navigate to item, you want to navigate, and multiplicity, that whatever I have explained, and the cardinality, that is the come into picture, multiplicity. For one item, how many headers are possible? Only one. And for one header, how many items are possible? N. So same reflected here. And there is a principal role is the header, and dependent role is the item. So like that, this is the association created, and in the entity type you only see the navigation property along with the other properties, and the relationship will be, you can see in header to item. And you want to see the detail of header to item, you have to copy this one, Control C and Control F. If you have bigger file, then you have to come down little bit, and you can see the association detail here in same way. And other way, entity set got created and association set also got created. Entity set was already there, sales order items and sales order headers. In same way, association set also created in the metadata. This is how the metadata will change when you create the association. Now we talk about the data. Metadata, no need to do any development, just SCGW, everything will take care, because this will be generated by runtime artifacts. So SAP will do the framework, will do the implementation to create these all the kind of things. We no need to worry, but to get the data, we have to do a lot of implementation. We have to display the sales order header data, means all the sales order detail in our application one side. So I need to get all the sales order header data first. To get the sales order header data, I have to use entity set name sales order headers. So let me copy this sales order headers name and let me give the service name. Instead of $metadata, I have to give that entity set name and click on enter to get that header data. But it's saying sales order header get entity set is not implemented. Let's implement it. To implement this, you have to go to Eclipse. I will use Eclipse to implement the DPC data provider class extension. So in our case, the version sales order 02 DPC extension class is this one. So let me double click on this one. I have explained the DPC extension, MPC extension in my last video. So as I told you in my last video, we have to re-implement this method in protected section because those methods are available in superclass in the protected section. So what you have to do, sales, you can do control space. First you have to write methods and you have to write your entity name, and you can see the sales order get entity set. Select enter, and we want to redefine this particular method. So you can do redefinition, or you can go to SE24, click on select this method and click on redefinition button. It will generate this one. Just control 1 and aid the implementation of this particular method. So as you know, what we have to get, as you know, sales order header data. So we need to get these 5 properties. Which one? VBLN, VKORZ, VTWEZ, SPART, and BSTNK and Kunnar. So I have already wrote the select statement. I don't want to write again and again those simple select statement. Control C. What you have to do? You have to get the data from the system, a VBAK table, and set F1. It's very simple. What we are doing, we are getting the data from VBAK, and I don't want to see entire data of VBAK. That is the reason I got, if you need all the sales order, you have to put entire data, but in this case you have to put appropriate condition. We will see how to put filter and all in upcoming videos, but as of now I want to get up to 100 rows, so we can quickly get the data from the system. So as you know, we have VBLN AURT. Okay, I think we didn't edit the document type field in our service. So you can see we have sales order, sales org, other fields are there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But when I did AUART is the very important field when we create the sales order in the system, because document type obviously we have to give. So let me add one more field here, that will be better. So how to add, that is again new thing. If I have generated service, I have registered the service, I want to add one new field. So what you have to do, you have to go to your entity type. You have to click on that entity where you want to add and just click on plus button, and I will add the document type. This is the document and type. So again camel case, and this is not the key field. I have to give what is the type. As I already know, if you click on F2 button over here in VBAK, AUART is the AUART. Somewhere AUART is there. If you click on AUART, this is the length 4. So I have to give the EDM type string length 4. Then in this way, what I can do, let me do F4, and I have to select EDM string. These are the EDM types, and maximum length will be 4. And I have to link this data back to our structure as well. So you have to click on F4 button, and again I have to link this data back to my structure as well. So AURT I already linked. So I have added this additional field. I forgot previously. So what I have to do to see this data in metadata. Currently, if I see the metadata, let me put $metadata for service 2. I can't see that particular AUART field. But once I regenerate this particular service here, since I have added here this field, I have to regenerate this one. And as you know from my previous video, if you see the model provider class, in the model provider class, what additional thing happened, that I will show you. So base class, model provider class, base class, not the extension class. System is slow. In the model provider class, this is automatically generated based on your SEGW project. So as I told you, these are the 3 main methods: load text element, define, and last get modified. Out of that, the define method is very important. Inside the define method, if you see inside the define method, we have all the entity type which we have created. We can see the association also. If you create the complex type, everything we can see in the define. So in this case, if you go to the sales order header method, define sales order header, as of now, if you see this define sales order header method, either you can select or you can click control click, that will take you, or you can select and you can go up and down here using this particular next annotation button as well, because it's available in the same class. You can see there is no, as of now you can see there is no field called that AUART field is not there, or document type field is not there. As soon as I regenerate this runtime architect, this will modify this particular model provider class as well. And now if I refresh this particular data, if I do F5, or what I can do, I think so, what for that, you can see the document type field got added here. It was not available previously, just now it got added, document type field AUART. So based on your what I want to show you exactly, based on SEGW, whatever you modify, this model provider class will modify based on your data model, how you are creating. So in this case, in last video, we were able to see only the one entity type, that is employee. In this project, we can see there is multiple entity type. One is the sales order header, and second is the sales order item. Not only the entity type, we created the association. That is the reason we have separate method called define association also there. Inside this association, you can see the same detail, whatever we have provided in the coding format. What is the source entity, what is the target entity, what is the cardinality between them. Based on this only we can see the OData service. So like that, like that, each and everything whatever we do in SEGW, those all will be reflected in the MPC class, model provider class, because we are defining the model in the tool based editor or tool in the tool form, and all those in backend. When we click on runtime artifact button, it will be generated code, and we can see here. This is how it is happening. And now we have added this one. If you refresh this one, so I can see now additional field here as well in the service. If I refresh this one, you can see document type field got added here, and apart from those other fields. So now let me come here and go to the DPC extension class. Since I want to get all the sales order details, I got VBLN, AUART, VQRZ, all the fields into corresponding field of the entity set. If you see this entity set type, if you click on F2, this type is VBAK, not the separate structure created. But in future, if you want to add some field, no need to do coding modification. You just have to do into corresponding field. So automatically it will take the structure VBAK. So in real time, we will not use directly VBAK, VBAP table. Instead of doing that, we will create our own structure, and that we will take reference in our data type, because in that way, you know, whatever the field we are doing, additionally adding that we will add to that particular structure, and we are not utilizing entire VBAK structure and unnecessarily. But anyway, we are not fetching those data, just we are fetching this data, so it will not impact that much. So I'm getting the up to 100 rows. Once I got the data, if you see, as I told you, whenever you're working in the DPC extension class, you have to do F2 button over here. You have to see what all are the importing parameter, what all are the exporting parameter. In this, I just have to fill this entity set method, and I have to fill this data, and I have to set. I can create, there might be possibility, as of now, I got the data from VBAK. There might be possibility that you need the data from, apart from VBAK, VBUC also you need, because that is again one header kind of table. You need the data, some business header data or sold to party data that you want to combine in one entity. That also you can do. You have to define your own structure, that structure you have to fill here using the join and all that. Finally, you have to fill this ET entity set. That's it, nothing else. But you have to create your own structure directly using the VBAK table. That is one more important thing. I created the get entity set method. Let me activate this one, Control F3. And this is same what we did in employee data to get from the system. Same thing. If I refresh the data, or if I will get this header data, sales or headers data, I can see all the header data from the system, because we have implemented now. What is that? Whenever you find this kind of issue, you have to go to that particular T code. IWFND error log T code is there. So let me go to the T code. I can see there is some error /n/IWFND /error underscore log. This is the T code we have to go. If you go to this T code, I can see there is some error. We can see invalid format in row number 1, property bstnk. So if you see this one, error log, and you can see that there is some problem with this field, bstdk. I think we used the wrong field. Let me see my SEGW again. Okay, I wanted to use that bstnk, but somehow it came the date, and I think whenever the date is initial, we have to put the nullable equal to true, but I don't want to get as of now this field. I want to get bstnk, not the dk. If you go in SE11, let me go to SE11, VBAK, let me display, Control F, BSTNK. So you can see BSTNK I wanted, but somehow I selected BSTDK. Because why I wanted this customer purchase order number? Because whenever we create a sales order in my system, it's mandatorily it is asking, let me create one sales order VA01. Why I chooses those fields only? You have to give some document type over here, and once you give the document type, you have to give some sold to party, and you have to give some material mandatorily, and obviously some quantity you have to give mandatorily. Once you click on enter, and you have to give the sales org, distribution channel, and distribution division you have to give. You can select anything, but as of, let me select this one. And once you select this one and click on enter and try to save, there is PO number is mandatory, you can see. So this is the field, PO number field is the BSTNK field. So that is the reason I have included that one, because when we create the real-time sales order in the system, those all the fields will be needed. Let me come back and no, yeah, I want to save this data, yes. Okay, let me go to another tab and change some, give some PO test 1 PO something I will give. And let me save it. Let me enter. Now I'm not getting any error, so you can see, delete this one. Okay, let me save this sales order. So I'm able to create the successfully sales order number 15929. So that is the reason this PO number field I want. A PO date field I don't want. So let me change this SCGW, because it's a mandatory when we creating sales order. When we use the BAPI, we have to pass this field as well. So BST NK, and you have to give appropriate name obviously, and this should be not BSTDK. I have to select again, I have to do F4 here, and I have to select, instead of BSTDK, I have to select BSTNK. Let me come down, paste down, BSTNK, not BSTDK. Let me select this field, and accordingly I have to select this also. I think it's EDM string, and if you're using date field also, make sure you, when you are not having data, you put as a nullable. That time you will not get that kind of issue. And let me see what kind of this field is. I can see from here as well, F1, technical setting, and BSTNK I have. Then click on data element, what is K35. So same way I will put here K35. That should be, length should be 35, and regenerate my runtime artifacts. And let me see my code also, BSTNK is there or not. Now I think let me execute again my service. Oh, I have regenerated runtime artifacts. Let me refresh my data. Let me do F8 again. Because of the breakpoint, it's taking time. Let me remove the breakpoint. I can see the data now. You can see data got appropriate format. We got all the header data. That is like the employee get entity set. This is the error we got. Or sometime date field, very important. So if you are using BST DK as well, so make sure the nullable equal to true. Sometime when we not fill the date field, it expect all the time you pass some valid value. So in this case we didn't pass the valid value, so that is the reason we are getting that error. So to avoid that error, we have to put it is nullable. If you have in your system the date is initial or there is no date value, in that case it should be put nullable, means there is no value at all, neither 000 also not there. Okay, So that's a very important thing. So like that we can get the header data, and once we got the header data, what we can do, uh, the next part is that we have to get the line item data, because when I click on the header data, that particular sales order, it should display all the line item data. So for that, what we have to do, we have to use the navigation. So in this case, I got the header data. Suppose I want to get the this particular sales order data 4969. Suppose I want to get 4969 data. So what you have to do, you have to pass the 4969 here. I don't want to get this particular sales order, but I want to get the this particular sales order line item data. For that, what I have to do, if I want to get only the this particular one sales order, then I have to implement that get entity set method. Invalid key predict. Okay, because we have to put in the comma. This one, always make sure you put in right format. So it will expect us to sales order get entity method, but we are not in the, as per our application, we are not displaying only the one sales order in the any screen. So for that purpose, I didn't implement it as of now, and I'm not required as well. But I want to get this sales orders, the all the line item. To get the all line item, I know the navigation path name is the items. So that I will use, and I will try to access. But it will also, to access the for this particular all the line items through the navigation, we have to implement sales order get entity set method. So it will, when you use this URI, these are the important, again, one of the one URI, okay, where I was writing my URIs. So you can see these all are the URIs for the read, create, update, and delete. This URI, we will access the data through our navigation property. So access data through navigation. So we know what is the, we know all the relationship between the, as per the metadata. I know if you see this metadata, let me not close this one, and let me put here. So you can see I have one navigation property called items. This will take me to the all the items for the related to this particular sales order. So that is the reason I have written that particular URI. Let me remove, this is not required, only that is fine. So this is our SICF node, then service, what is our service name, and then what is the our entity type. And for this entity type, we have the navigation to the item entity. But for accessing all the item, we need to implement the our item get item entity set method. Let's implement that also. To implement that one, so same way what we have to do, get entity set header we have implemented, we have to implement get item sales order item get entity set method. So for that, what you have to do, simple, you have to write here sales order, control space, get item. One second, sales order item get entity set, enter, and redefinition. We have to redefine this particular method. Okay, redefinition, control space, tab, delete. Step F1. Let me put the implementation, add implementation for this one. The code and all I'm not focusing on, you have to write accordingly. You have to define the structure. As of now, you can see I'm using VBAK, but you have to create your own structure. That way you will be not having a lot of blank values in the VBAK structure, because I'm getting only these fields from the view. But real time you have to define your structure, that from that structure you have to create the entity types, your entity types, and that structure you have to fill. But in this case, I used VBAK. Some of the fields I'm using still, I'm not using all the fields, but some of the fields I'm using, and I try to explain this thing. But according to your requirement, you have to define your structure. That structure can be created from the different table fields. In this, it can become VBAK, VBUG, Kunna, different table. You can create one entity type, that structure, and refer that structure and create your entity type based on your requirement. So in this case, I want to get the get entity set. I want to get the item data, all the item data. To get the all the item data, for what again I have to do the, I already written the code. I don't want to write the select query and all. So this is the basic code, select code, but I will explain this entire code. Control C, Control V, I usually not write the code, but these videos are becoming bigger and bigger. I don't know, because this is OData some, so that is the reason that is simple code. I will explain this one later point of time. As of now, let me control shift less than. But what we are doing, as you know, from our employee project, where we were getting the data from the employee table. Same way we have the key tab. I want to get the key value VBLN, and once I code the sales order key which we are passing here in our URI, when we access this key value I want to access, and once I got this key value, I want to get the data from VBAP. What all are the, based on our entity type defined, I only define 4 fields, and I'm putting in the into corresponding field of this table, and I'm passing this VBLN. Posner is not required here. I will tell you when the Posner is required, because in this case I'm just passing the header data and I need all the data. So I don't need Posner, and I'm just getting and I'm filling this entity set. If you do the F2 over here, you can see importing and exporting parameter. I just have to fill this one using this key tab. Shift F1, and let me do Control F3 and put breakpoint in this particular method, because I want to show little bit one different thing over here. When you access through this URI, you can call this method two way. One way is like this. You can call like this. This will call also this particular method, sales order Control C, Control V, sales order get entity set method it will call. And another way you can call this particular method like this also. You can pass all the key fields over here, create, read data, and you pass all the key fields. Control C, get entity method now. Get entity set method. So you can call like this, Control C. This is another way to call, but in this time your particular service name will be different. This is your service, Control C, Control V, and this particular service entity type, entity set name. So this is this. If you use both the URIs, it will call same method. But in our application, as you can see, we never call using the. We will never get the item data. Not this one. Sorry, this items. So like that, sales order items. So either when you call this sales order items directly, then also it will call this entity set method. And when you call like this also, then also it will call the sales. In both way, I will show you how it is calling. First, we will see using this particular items. I want to get all the items for that particular for all the sales orders. So how it will be and how this particular will display. So let me uncomment this one. I will show you this why I have written this one. That also. Control Shift greater than. Okay, my system got stuck. So meanwhile, let me go to SE24 and put the breakpoint place in SE24. This is also down. Okay, and Control Shift greater than here as well. Shift F1, Control F3. It got activated. Let me see here if we came to SE24 or not. We didn't come. I already opened somewhere. No, taking too much time. I think I have to log in again. I think so. No. Okay, I have to log in again. Let me quickly log in. Technomaniac. My password. I will not speak out. Continue with this logon. That is the advantage of GUI as I use Eclipse. You can see in the Eclipse still I'm writing. If I would have writing in this GUI, everything gone vanish. So still I can activate my code like this. The server code, when the server goes down, that is again advantage. Let me go to 24 table, then display, and come down, and let me go to my entity set, sales order item entity set method, and let me put my actional breakpoint over here, and let me access the data through this URI. Instead of this one, what I will do, sales order items I will access. Sales order items. This will also call the same method. I will show you. Let me items, and I put the breakpoint. I hope so it will trigger here. Let me see if it is triggering or not. Okay, taking time because I'm running through web browser. I would have run from the gateway client, but it triggered finally. But the difference you will see, there is minor difference if you see your local data, importing and exporting parameter basically. So you can see that your source entity name is the sales order item, and your entity name also sales order item. And that is the reason in this case I don't want to run this code. I don't have the sales order. If I read the key tab, there is, you can see key tab is blank. Whenever the source name is sales order header, I don't want to run my code. In else case, when the sales order, my source name is sales order item, I want to run different code. What I want to run? Simply I want to get all the data from the VBAP, this all the data, and I want to display it because I want to get all the sales order and all the line item. But this is not the requirement of my applications. So in that case, I don't want to, I have to display some error message over here. So in this case, as of now, I'm not getting any data. But ideally, what I should do in else case, if the sales order not is there, if you are really developing your app, ideally you should do you should give front end some appropriate message raising the business. What message you will give? I will writing. You have to raise your exception. How we raise the exceptions in our employee. So what you have to tell? Enter correct URI. Or this, or you can write like that, this URI is not supported. This URI is not supported. Something like that. Because you have to drive your development from the server side, not from the client side. Client can enter any URI. This is again one of the main thing whenever we are developing our web application. Our URI, what you are going to enter, that should be driven from your server side. So server will decide what all are the URIs you can enter. Client can't decide because client can enter anything based on that. There might be in server there will be code or not. So we have to tell that these URIs are supported. Apart from this, something else you are accessing, you will not get any data. You will get some junk data. Or we have to handle all the scenarios. We have to give the appropriate error to the front end if they are accessing that kind of URI. So in this case, what I will do, your URI is not supported, something like I will give some error to the front end and they will act accordingly. But this is the one way to call this particular get entity set method of order items. But that is another way which I have shown you. This one also, in this way also we can call this same. Control C. Control V. From the sales order header, I want to call, I will pass that particular sales order, and I want to, for this particular sales order, what all are the items are there, I want to access through the navigation property. In this way also, it will call the same method. But the difference will be there. In this case, our entity name will be the sales order item, but our source name will be the sales order header. So if you talk about the source, this source name will be always the first after the service. What is your first entity set you are using? That will be in your source name, and through this source name, what data you are accessing, that you can see again in your entity name. What entity you want to access, that you can see in the entity name. And key tab, when it will get filled, when you will pass in your first source name some key field there, those data will be filled in the key tab. In this case, key tab got filled. When we call that other URI, which is directly we were calling the sales order items, all the items of sales order, that time key tab was empty. But in this case, we can see the key fields. So I have to get this particular key field. Let me do F7. I came inside F7. There is some internal error. Let me execute again, refresh. Again, I did some mistake, I think so. I got some data wrongly or something. Let me see what I did. Good. Okay, I'm not getting here itself. It got failed. First line. What I did mistake? Value pair I'm getting. Okay, in this case the name is different. Our name is sales order. We have changed the name in our If you see the control F3, I got it. What is the issue? F8. So we have changed our property name. So that property name only it is coming in IT key table. That is the reason we are getting this error. Let me do F5. Let me do F8 again. And what I will do, let me refresh again, or Control C, Control Z. This time it will call the correct method. Change this time. Instead of VBLN, I put the sales order. That property name is sales order. You can see in SEGW as well. Let me open our SEGW project. So you can see I changed this one. Let me find out. If you open this key tab, it is coming the sales order. So you have to use same value name, key value, because we have changed the property name. Instead of putting VBLN, appropriate name we were putting. So we have to use here. In my older project, I didn't do. So that is the reason. So now I got the appropriate VBLN, and you have to, as I told you, it will give the just the value. You have to handle the conversion exit when you are getting the data. When they are displaying from SAP to outer world, SAP will take care based on your structure. But when we are reading the key field, that time we have to add this appropriate zeros, and based on that we have to write our code. You can see entity set got filled with one entry, and if I do it, I will get the data. You can see I got the, I can see for 4969 order, there is only one line item that is called the 10. Like that, we can access our navigation path. In this video, we have learned about the navigations and associations. Through that, we navigated from one entity set to the another entity set. But sometimes what we need, we want to access the two entity set or two related entity set or multiple related entity set data together. How we can do? There is one query option is available in SAP that is called expand query options that we can use, and we can access the data together of multiple entity set, related entity set. So therefore that we no need to do any development. We just have to use the query option called expand, and we can get the data. But that is not the performance wise, that is not good. We will see that thing in my next video, and how to implement manually or how to develop our own code for the expand query, that we will discuss in our next video. Before going to that video, please like this video, share these videos with others as well, so they can also learn with that. Thank you and happy learning.